you talk to them boys that settle the benches, boy. I was in the game on 4th and inches.
Welcome back to the league back in action. This past week was the semifinals. There was 4 teams, 2 matchups. Here's how they went. Russell played Hinks' team. Both teams were pretty good going in. You know, Russ finished 3rd, Hinks finished 2nd. So they were 2 good teams. This matchup ended up being was a blowout. It wasn't even close. Hinks won 110-64. Russ's team didn't show up. Hinks just had a great day. Everyone had almost 10 points, which is big in fantasy. There was only a couple of guys who didn't do well, but it didn't matter. Hinks won and he moved on. The other matchup was real close. It was myself, Team Drake, against Verano. His team is Pete will lose. I ended up winning by 1 point. Steve came back though. He was down by about 13 going into the Monday night game, which was the Vikings against the Bears. Bears ended up winning in overtime in that game by 6. He had Sidney Rice. Sidney Rice had the touchdown to force it into overtime. So at that point, he was only down by about 3. And he needed Rice to do something in overtime, but nothing happened for the Vikings. The Bears won, and I ended up advancing. I won by 1 point. It was a tight game. You know, I beat Verano. There's nothing new to that. You know, I beat him in the baseball league. It's the same story. It's just you know, different day of the week. Anyway, that brings us to the finals matchup. Very, very good matchup. We have the number 1 team against the number 2 team. You can't ask for anything better than this. So it's Team Drake, thank me later, against Hinks, the Lightning Bug. I'm in a little bit of a bind this week because Philip Rivers is only going to play 1 to 2 quarters, depending on what the Chargers coach wants to do. So I have to scramble for a quarterback and possibly a wide receiver. But anyway, it's going to be a good matchup, and we'll get different people's takes. We're going to have like a panel of people. They'll go through who they think they'll win, and Falco will break down the matchup player by player, and he's going to give a recap on the whole season in general. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. More will come.
Straight off the black
Nick again, he's going to give a little recap of what happened in the league. Give a little reflection on what went on.
Big things this year in fantasy football. A lot of trades, a lot of dump trades to start the season off. We had a team go 0-13, which I was a manager of. Can't be too proud about that. Traded away most of my players, so did a lot of other kids. A lot of swaps in the beginning, which came back to hurt a lot of teams, especially It's Inevitable. By the way, who's the manager of It's Inevitable?
Russell.
Russell? It's Russell, right, Hank?
That would be Russell.
For 3 straight weeks, he said he had the best team. Yeah, got beat by 40 points in the semifinals. All right, here we go. Gotta get that out of the way. And this is also an example about how in the fantasy football league, the league should end in week 16, because week 17, you got players resting. For instance, we have the team in the finals, Drama, resting Randy Moss and Philip Rivers. It's gonna hurt him, man. Overall, it's been a crazy year in fantasy football, especially for the top wide receivers and running backs, I would say. Calvin Johnson was taken pretty early. Hasn't done much. Brandon Jacobs was a projected 20 touchdowns, averaged about 3.8 yards a carry.
Yeah, wrong way down a one-way. Women don't get saved round me even on a Sunday. Damn where
It's on me. My Bronx nigga need work, so it's on its way. Me, my Puerto Rican bitch down at JFK.
And we're here with Nick Falco. He's predicting the fantasy football finals. It's Matt Hanks against Mike Roth. Nick's going to break it down player by player. So why don't you go ahead, Nick?
Yeah, we have the finals here. Let's start with the quarterback. We have Donovan McNabb against Dallas and Roethlisberger against Miami. This is an easy one. Roethlisberger gets 8 more points than McNabb. Last time McNabb faced the Cowboys, 215 yards and an interception. That's 2 fantasy points right there. They got the best defense in the NFC right now. He's going to have a tough time, so I like Roethlisberger because of the way he's playing. We have Fitzgerald versus Green Bay. Greg Jennings versus Arizona. I like Jennings there because Fitzgerald's going to see a lot of Chuck Woodson, who's playing like the Defensive Player of the Year. Kind of a close matchup though. 13 points for Jennings, 10 points for Fitzgerald. Calvin Johnson against Chicago. Deshaun Jackson against Dallas. It's pretty even here. Both not going to have great games. Last time Deshaun played the Cowboys, 3 catches for 30 yards. Not a factor. Calvin Johnson's hurt. Doesn't have a quarterback. Chicago. Even there. Dwayne Bowe against Denver. Percy Harvin versus the Giants. I think Pete could predict this one. The Giants secondary, let's face it, it's like eating soup right now. And Dwayne Bowe against Champ Bailey. Percy Harvin, big of advantage over Dwayne Bowe there. He should pick up Mario Manningham, should drama, and play him. He's going to have a touchdown. He's got good speed. Rashard Mendenhall against Miami. Frank Gore against St. Louis. Frank Gore against St. Louis easily. Mendenhall, physical, very, very physical. Bill Parcells run defense. Frank Gore against St. Louis, let's face it. Anybody can run against their defense. Maurice Morris and Darren Sproles. Sproles has got a tough matchup against Washington, who's got a great run defense. I think it's 5th in the league right now. And Maurice against Chicago should have about 80 yards and a touchdown. I like Morris there. Tight end, Gates against Boss. Boss is good for 4 catches, 40 yards. Gates is going to get his usual. I mean, watch the Washington game against Witten. Witten had his best game of the season with 120 yards. Laurent Landry, good tackler, cannot cover the tight end. So Gates is going to have a huge game if he stays in. Nate Kading against David Akers. I think Philly's going to settle for a lot of field goals. I think they're only going to put up 13 points. Kading against Washington could be the same way, especially because Billy Volney's going to be in. And we have San Francisco's defense against Atlanta. Atlanta's playing Tampa Bay, but Atlanta has a very, 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 very weak defense, especially against the pass, and the Bucs love to throw the ball. Freeman looks pretty good against the Saints, even though he threw 2 picks last week. And we got the 49ers should play really well against St. Louis, who's got Ryan Leaf prodigy quarterback Nolan there. He's going to throw at least 3 interceptions. So overall, because of the absence of Moss and Rivers and Drama's team because of the last week of the season, I'm going to take the Lightning Bug here by 15 points.
Finalist Matt Hanks, he's in the finals against Team Drake. How you feeling about that? You feeling a little scared?
You know what, honestly, I'm not feeling scared this week. We're in the finals here. You look at the points, I'm numero uno in the points here. I've got some great matchups this week. I think it's really going to come down to San Francisco's D, who I picked up for the playoffs, making big plays. Patrick Willis is the best linebacker in the NFL. He's going to be killing it this week. We got Percy Harvin playing the Giants. First time in a while I've been embarrassed to be a Giants fan, and Percy Harvin is just going to shit on that secondary. I mean, everything else, it's tough to say what Fitzgerald and Deshaun are going to be doing. Deshaun's playing in Green Bay. No, that's wrong. We got Deshaun playing Dallas for the NFC East.
Right. And
we got Fitzgerald against Charles Woodson, so we got some tough matchups there. But overall, I think I've got the better squad here. It hurts Ross a lot without no Phillip Rivers and no Randy Moss with them sitting on the bench. Made the point about finals being in week 16 next year. We'll see how that goes. But we're looking at a great team here. We're looking at the best team right here.
All right, so you're going to win by a close margin, or is it going to be a landslide?
It's a landslide.
Landslide?
West Virginia, baby.
All right, we'll see what happens. Am I nervous to play Matt Hanks? You know, I'm not that nervous. Both of these teams have been there before. So, you know, it's not like this is something new to us. There's not going to be no jitters about this. We're both 2 good teams, and you know, I wake up Sunday and it's just like I know I'm gonna win. I know my guys are gonna perform well. This is tough though. I'm down some guys. It's, you know, it may be an ugly win for me, but I think I could pull it off. You know, my team has heart. We try hard. We're different. You know, it's a weird feeling, but Sunday morning's gonna come. I'm going to take a shower, and I'm just going to know it's going to be a victory.